Amelia's hand trembled just as she was about to say, "I do." The chapel was bathed in soft sunlight, streaming through stained glass windows, and the gentle murmur of the guests had fallen into a hush. Mark stood before her, his smile steady and warm, but inside Amelia's chest, a storm was quietly brewing. She wanted this moment to be perfect, the culmination of years spent planning, dreaming, and hoping for a future together. Yet something deep within her whispered doubt, a shadow she couldn't ignore. The sound of the organ filled the air as the minister began to speak, his voice steady and kind, guiding everyone through the sacred promises about to be made. Amelia's eyes met Mark's. His gaze was filled with love and certainty, and that was what made it all the more difficult. How could she share the restless thoughts churning inside her? How could she admit that the life she was about to promise might not be the life she truly wanted? Her mind slipped away to the nights before, the quiet moments she spent alone in their small apartment, wondering if the excitement she once felt had quietly faded beneath the surface of comfort. The ring Mark had bought gleamed softly in the light. It was beautiful, perfect even. But it wasn't the ring she had dreamed about as a young woman. There was a different ring, a different future, she had imagined in her heart. Amelia blinked, trying to push away the rising tide of emotions. She took a deep breath and smiled at Mark, willing herself to be present in this moment. The guests watched, some with tears in their eyes, others exchanging joyful glances, unaware of the storm inside the bride's heart. As the minister asked if anyone had any objections, a cold shiver ran down Amelia's spine. She forced herself to nod as the words came out of her mouth. "I do," but they felt strange, hollow almost. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, something she had ignored for far too long. Her thoughts traveled back to Julian. He was the man she had loved first, the man who had promised her forever, but vanished without explanation years ago. Back then, she had believed their love story was over, closed like a book on a shelf gathering dust. But now, standing here in a room full of hopeful faces, she wondered if that chapter had been left unfinished. Amelia's fingers tightened around the bouquet she held. She glanced at Mark again, his hand steady as he prepared to place the ring on her finger. The smile on his face was genuine, filled with a promise of a life he wanted to build with her. But could she live with a promise that wasn't fully hers? The silence in the chapel was heavy. The weight of expectations pressed down on her like the heavy velvet of her dress. She felt trapped between the past and the future, caught in a moment where time seemed to slow. The music swelled softly, and her heart beat faster, as if trying to warn her of the choice that loomed ahead. Her gaze drifted toward the large wooden doors at the back of the chapel. She didn't know why, but her eyes were drawn there again and again, like a moth to a flickering flame. A restless feeling tugged at her, a sense that her life was about to change in a way she couldn't predict. Amelia swallowed hard, fighting the urge to turn and run. She told herself she was lucky, loved, and about to start a new chapter with a man who cared deeply for her. Yet her soul felt restless, yearning for something more, something she couldn't yet name. The minister's voice softened as he spoke about love and commitment, about weathering storms together and sharing joy and sorrow. Amelia felt the words wash over her, but they didn't reach the place in her heart where her deepest fears and hopes lived. She closed her eyes for a moment, imagining the life she had always wanted, the kind of love that made her heart soar and her spirit feel free. A love that wasn't just safe or convenient, but alive with passion and truth. Just as she was about to open her eyes, the grand doors of the chapel creaked open, and a sudden hush fell over the room. Every eye turned to the entrance. Amelia's breath caught. Her heart stopped mid-beat. Standing in the doorway was Julian. He looked older, Yes, but his eyes held the same intensity, she remembered, the same warmth and promise. In his hand, he held a ring, unlike any she had seen before, sparkling and glowing softly, as if it carried the weight of every moment they had lost. The room seemed to hold its breath as Julian took a slow step forward. Amelia's mind raced. How had he found her? Why now? And what did this mean for the life she was about to promise? Mark's hand faltered, and the ring he was about to place on Amelia's finger slipped from his grasp, clinking softly against the polished floor. The sound seemed to echo through the silent chapel. Amelia's eyes locked with Julian's. For the first time in years, the past and present collided in a way she had never imagined possible. Her heart ached with a mixture of hope, fear, and something deeper, an undeniable truth she could no longer ignore. The wedding she had planned, the life she had dreamed of, now hung in the balance. Amelia stood frozen, caught between the man she loved and the man who had returned to claim her heart once again. A quiet tension filled the chapel as Julian's unexpected arrival unsettled everyone, especially Amelia. Her breath hitched, and memories she had carefully tucked away burst to the surface. Julian, the man she thought she'd lost, was standing before her, holding the ring she'd once imagined on her finger in countless daydreams. The years since their parting had been filled with unanswered questions, heartache, and silence. But now, those years came crashing back like a tidal wave. She looked at Mark, whose face had drained of color. His eyes searched hers, pleading for some sign that this disruption wouldn't shatter the future they were meant to build together. But Amelia's heart was pounding wildly, torn between what was and what might have been. She wanted to explain, to apologize, but the words caught in her throat. How could she begin to unravel this knot of emotions in front of everyone? Julian stepped closer, his voice steady but laced with vulnerability. Amelia, I owe you the truth, more than I ever could have said before. His eyes held hers, searching for the same connection that once bound them. I left because I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want to hold you back, not when I wasn't sure I could give you the life you deserved. The chapel was silent except for the soft murmur of his voice. Amelia's mind raced back to those years of loneliness and wondering. She had never stopped loving him, never stopped asking why he vanished without a word. Now standing here, hearing his confession, a flood of emotions overwhelmed her, anger, relief, sorrow, and hope all tangled together. Mark's jaw tightened as he listened. So, you just disappeared? Without any explanation. His voice was low but firm. What kind of man leaves the woman he loves waiting? Julian didn't flinch. I thought I was doing the right thing. I needed to build something stable first, a future worthy of her. He held out the glowing ring again, the symbol of everything he had worked for, everything he wanted to give her. I'm here now, Amelia, if you want me. Amelia looked away, tears welling in her eyes. This wasn't how she had imagined her wedding day. She had planned for happiness, certainty, and love, but instead, she was standing at a crossroads. The man she'd promised forever stood beside her, steady and patient, while the man she'd never stopped loving had returned, raw and hopeful. Her thoughts drifted to the quiet nights she'd spent alone, wondering if she had made the right choice. Was love enough, or did she need more than that, a passion, a connection that couldn't be explained or replaced? The weight of her decision pressed down on her like never before. Guests whispered nervously, sensing the shift in the air. Some looked at Mark with sympathy, others at Julian with curiosity and disbelief. Amelia's heart ached with the knowledge that no matter what she chose, someone would be hurt. Yet for the first time in a long time, she felt the stirring of something she hadn't felt in years, a chance for real happiness. Julian took a step closer again, his voice softer. I never stopped believing in us, Amelia. I built my life around the hope that one day you'd see me again." His eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I want to spend every day proving that I'm the man you deserve." Amelia swallowed hard, fighting back the tears threatening to fall. The promises made here today felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. She longed to believe Julian, to trust that the past could be healed and the future rewritten. But she also knew that love wasn't just about passion or promises. It was about trust, patience, and choice. Mark reached out, gently taking her hand. "Amelia, I love you. I'm ready to build that future with you, no matter what it takes." His voice was calm but desperate, a man fighting for his chance. Torn between two worlds, Amelia's mind raced. Could she abandon the life she'd built with Mark for a love that felt like a flame rekindled after years of cold? Or should she hold onto the safe harbor Mark offered, steady and true? She looked around the chapel, at the faces of those who loved her, waiting silently for her answer. Her heart ached with the weight of the moment, knowing there was no easy choice. Finally, she took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was her story, her life, not anyone else's to decide. And whatever choice she made, she would face it with courage and honesty. As Julian and Mark watched her, Amelia knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy. But in that moment, standing between her past and her future, she felt the first stirrings of clarity, one that would guide her through the storm to come. The chapel was still, but the air felt electric, charged with an emotion that no one could quite put into words. Julian stood near the entrance, the glowing diamond ring in his hand catching the light and throwing tiny sparkles onto the polished floor. His eyes never left Amelia's face, searching, hoping for something, anything, that would tell him she still believed in what they once had. Amelia's mind was a whirlwind. She wanted to reach out, to touch that ring, to feel the weight of his promise, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. Her heart raced as the faces of everyone around her blurred into a sea of whispers and muffled gasps. It wasn't just a wedding anymore. It was a turning point, a question hanging in the air. Would she choose the life she had carefully built or the love she had never truly forgotten? Mark, standing beside her, tried to steady her trembling hand. His voice was calm, but it carried a tension she could hear. "Amelia, we can make this work. We have everything we need. Love, trust, and a future." His eyes pleaded with her to see the promise in his words, to hold onto the safety he offered. Julian took a slow step forward. "Amelia, I know I left without warning. I can't undo those years or the pain I caused. But I'm here now, not asking for forgiveness, but for a chance to make things right. I never stopped loving you." The chapel felt heavy with unspoken feelings. Amelia's breath caught as she looked at Julian, the man who had been a ghost in her past, now standing so vividly in front of her. The glowing ring in his hand wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of hope, regret, and possibility. Her mind wandered back to the nights she spent wondering what could have been. Julian's sudden return felt like a jolt, waking something inside her that had lain dormant for too long. But at the same time, she was painfully aware of the life she was about to commit to with Mark. Was she ready to let go of the future they had planned? Mark's hand found hers again, this time firmer, more desperate. "I love you, Amelia. I'm ready to face anything if it means spending my life with you. Please don't let this moment tear us apart." Tears welled up in Amelia's eyes as she struggled to steady her voice. "I'm scared," she admitted quietly. "I don't know if I'm strong enough to choose. I don't want to hurt either of you." Her heart was breaking in ways she never imagined possible. Julian stepped closer, his voice gentle. "No one said this would be easy. Love isn't simple. It's messy, complicated. But it's also the most honest thing we have. I want to build something real with you, Amelia. If you'll let me." The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Amelia felt the weight of every gaze, every heartbeat sinking with her own. In that moment, the chapel was no longer just a place of ceremony. It was a crucible where her past and future collided. Suddenly, a soft whisper escaped from her lips. "I need time." The words were barely audible, but they carried the full weight of her turmoil. She needed to find clarity, to understand what her heart truly wanted before making a choice that would shape the rest of her life. Mark nodded slowly, pain flickering across his face, but tempered by understanding. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here." Julian gave a small, hopeful smile. "Whatever you decide, Amelia, know that I'm not going anywhere." The guests remained quiet, sensing the gravity of the moment. Some eyes glistened with tears, others with admiration for Amelia's courage. The wedding day had become something far more than anyone anticipated. Amelia took a deep breath and looked at both men, two halves of her past and present, each holding a promise, each demanding her heart. She realized that no matter what she chose, she was reclaiming her story. And that was the first step toward a future filled with truth, pain, and maybe, just maybe, happiness. Mark's hand trembled as he watched the glowing ring slip from his fingers and fall to the polished floor. The sharp clink echoed through the silent chapel, punctuating the tension that had settled like a thick fog over everyone present. His eyes flicked to Amelia, searching her face for reassurance, but all he saw was a mixture of confusion, fear, and longing. Amelia's heart pounded wildly. Her world had tilted so suddenly that she barely recognized it anymore. The carefully planned wedding, the future she had imagined with Mark, it all felt fragile, like glass on the edge of breaking. Julian's unexpected arrival had shattered the calm, pulling her back into a past she thought she'd left behind. Julian's gaze never wavered. "I know I'm late," he said quietly, "but I couldn't stay away any longer. Not without telling you the truth." His voice was steady, but the emotion behind it was raw. "I left because I was scared. Scared I couldn't give you the life you deserved. So I walked away, hoping you'd find happiness, even if it wasn't with me." Mark's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. He stepped back slightly, giving Amelia space, though his eyes never left her. The room held its breath, waiting for her to speak. Amelia swallowed hard. She felt the weight of every eye in the chapel on her, but her focus was on the two men before her, one steady and familiar, the other a flame rekindled from her past. "I've spent so many nights wondering why you left," she said softly to Julian. "Why you didn't fight for us or even say goodbye." Julian's shoulders sagged. "I thought I was protecting you," he said. "I wanted to build a future first, something solid. I wanted to come back to you when I could offer you everything. But life had other plans." His voice cracked, revealing the pain he'd carried alone all these years. Amelia's eyes filled with tears, not just for the pain of the past, but for the uncertainty of the future. She looked to Mark, whose expression was a mixture of hurt and hope. "Mark, you've been my rock through all of this," she said, her voice trembling. "But now everything feels uncertain. I don't know what to believe anymore." Mark reached out, gently taking her hand. "I love you, Amelia. No matter what happens, I want to stand by you. We can face this together." His voice was steady, but the desperation beneath it was clear. Julian took a step forward. "I'm not asking you to choose me right now," he said. "I just want a chance to be part of your life again, to show you who I am now, not the man I was when I left." The chapel was silent except for the soft sound of Amelia's breathing. She felt torn, caught between two worlds, one promising stability and comfort, the other passion and unresolved love. Her mind raced with questions. Could she trust Julian again? Could she build a future with Mark when her heart still ached for someone else? Her gaze flicked back to the glowing ring in Julian's hand. It was more than a symbol of wealth or success. It was a promise of second chances, of a life rewritten. But it was also a reminder of the years lost and the wounds that hadn't yet healed. Amelia took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She knew she needed time, not just to decide between two men, but to find herself amid the chaos of her emotions. When she opened her eyes again, they were clear, resolute. "I can't promise anything right now," she said softly. "But I need to understand what I truly want. I need to find the courage to face my own heart before making a decision that will change everything." Mark nodded slowly, a sad smile touching his lips. "I'll wait, no matter how long it takes." Julian's eyes shone with hope. "I'm here, Amelia. Whenever you're ready." The guests exchanged quiet whispers, sensing the deep, emotional journey unfolding before them. Amelia stood between two men, two futures, two loves, knowing that whatever path she chose, she was reclaiming her own story, piece by piece. The chapel emptied slowly, the guests leaving with quiet murmurs and exchanged glances. Amelia remained standing, her hands clasped tightly, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She could still feel the weight of both men's eyes on her, Mark's steady, unwavering gaze and Julian's filled with hope and regret. Alone now, the silence wrapped around her like a thick blanket, forcing her to confront the whirlwind inside. She sank into a nearby pew, the polished wood cool beneath her fingertips. Memories flooded back, late-night talks with Julian, his laughter echoing in her mind, the way his eyes had once made her feel seen in a world that often overlooked her. But there was Mark too, his quiet strength, the patience he had shown when her world fell apart years ago, and the way he had offered her a future she thought she wanted. Amelia's thoughts raced. Could she really turn back to Julian? Was it possible to rebuild a love that had been broken for so long? Or was the safe, familiar path with Mark the right choice, even if it meant burying the restless ache in her heart? Her phone buzzed, breaking the heavy silence. It was a message from Julian. Asterisk, "I'm not going anywhere. Take all the time you need." Asterisk, the words warmed her, but also stirred the storm inside. Then another message from Mark appeared. Asterisk, "I'm here. Always." Asterisk, both texts were simple, yet carried worlds of meaning. Tears slipped down Amelia's cheeks as she realized she was standing at a crossroads, not just between two men, but between two versions of herself. The woman who had loved fiercely and lost, and the woman who had rebuilt her life piece by piece. The question was no longer about who she loved, but about who she wanted to be. Days passed, and Amelia retreated from the world to find clarity. She wandered through quiet parks, sat by rivers, and listened to the rustle of leaves, searching for answers in the rhythm of nature. She thought about forgiveness, not just of Julian, but of herself. Forgiving the past meant embracing uncertainty, risking heartbreak again, but also opening the door to true happiness. One evening, Amelia sat by the window, staring at the glowing ring Julian had left with her, a symbol of hope and a reminder of the journey ahead. She remembered Julian's words, asterisk, "Love isn't simple. It's messy, complicated." Asterisk, that truth resonated deep within her. Love wasn't about perfection, it was about courage. The next morning, Amelia called Mark. Her voice was steady but gentle. "I need us to talk, just the two of us." Mark's relief was palpable when he answered, but she could hear the worry beneath his calm. When they met, Amelia spoke honestly. "Mark, you've been my rock. I don't want to hurt you, but I need to be honest about my feelings. There's a part of me that's still healing, and I can't move forward until I do." Mark nodded slowly. "I understand, Amelia. I want you to be happy, even if that means waiting for you to figure things out." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of her words settling between them. Amelia felt a flicker of gratitude for his kindness and patience. Later that day, Julian arrived at her doorstep. His eyes were soft but searching. "Amelia, no matter what happens, I want you to know that I believe in us. I'm ready to be patient." She smiled, a bittersweet curve of her lips. "Thank you, Julian. That means more than you know." Amelia realized her journey wasn't about choosing between two men. It was about choosing herself. The courage to face her fears, to heal old wounds, and to open her heart to whatever the future held. As the days turned to weeks, Amelia took small steps forward, learning to listen to her heart's quiet whispers rather than its desperate cries. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in years, she felt ready to walk it, one brave step at a time. Amelia woke to the soft glow of morning sunlight filtering through the curtains. But the peace of the new day was a stark contrast to the storm still raging inside her. The choice she faced wasn't just about love. It was about trust, forgiveness, and the chance to rebuild a life from fragments she thought long broken. She knew she couldn't keep drifting between the two men forever. Sooner or later, she had to face the truth about her heart. Her phone buzzed again, this time a simple message from Julian. Asterisk, "I'm here. Whenever you're ready." Asterisk, she stared at the screen, feeling both comforted and anxious. Julian's return had stirred feelings she thought had been buried deep. But the question remained. Was it possible to trust him again after all the silence, all the years lost? Her thoughts shifted to Mark, the steady presence who had been by her side through the darkest times. He had offered her stability, a safe harbor in a world that often felt uncertain. His love was quiet but unwavering, and yet she wondered if it was enough to heal the restless ache Julian's return had awakened. The day stretched on as Amelia wandered through her home, memories weaving through every corner. The laughter she'd shared with Mark, the dreams she'd spun with Julian. It wasn't just about choosing between two men. It was about reclaiming the parts of herself that had been fragmented by love and loss. Later, Amelia sat by the window, clutching the glowing diamond ring Julian had left with her. It gleamed with promise and pain alike, a symbol of everything she had hoped for and feared. Could love really be second chances? Could she dare to open her heart again, knowing the risk of heartbreak was real? Her phone rang. It was Mark. "Amelia, I just want to hear your voice," he said softly. No pressure, no expectations. Just us talking. She smiled, grateful for his patience. "I'd like that," she replied. Their conversation was gentle, filled with moments of silence and honesty. Mark told her about his day, the little things that mattered to him, and how much he wanted to build a future together. Amelia listened, feeling the warmth of his love, but also the ache of uncertainty. After they hung up, Amelia sat back, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks. She realized love was never simple. It was messy, complicated, and sometimes painfully slow to heal. That evening, Julian arrived at her door again. His eyes searched hers for answers she wasn't ready to give. "Amelia, I'm not here to rush you. I just want to be honest with you about everything." She nodded, grateful for his honesty. "I need time to understand what I want, what I need." He stepped closer, voice barely above a whisper. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." Days turned into weeks, and Amelia found herself slowly untangling the knots inside her heart. She spent time reflecting, writing in her journal, and talking with close friends who reminded her of her strength and worth. She learned that sometimes the bravest thing was to wait, to be patient with her own feelings. One afternoon, Amelia visited the place where she and Julian had shared their first kiss, a quiet park bench beneath a sprawling oak tree. The memories were bittersweet, a reminder of a love that had once been pure and full of promise. As she sat there, Julian appeared quietly beside her. They didn't speak at first, letting the silence hold space for the emotions between them. Finally, Julian broke the quiet. I know I can't erase the past, but I want to create new memories, with honesty, respect, and love. Amelia looked at him, feeling the truth in his words. I want that too, but it has to be built slowly. Julian smiled gently. Slowly is fine, as long as it's real. At that moment, Amelia understood that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect timing. It was about courage, forgiveness, and the willingness to try again. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time, she felt hope, a fragile, beautiful hope that whispered of new beginnings, no matter how uncertain the road ahead might be. The weeks that followed were a quiet storm inside Amelia's heart. Each morning she woke with a mix of hope and fear, knowing the choice she faced wasn't just about two men. It was about rediscovering herself. Julian's presence lingered like a tender ache, a reminder of what once was and what might still be. Mark's steady love was the solid ground beneath her feet, the promise of a calm future. But Amelia wasn't sure if calm was what she truly wanted. One evening, Amelia found herself alone in the garden of her childhood home, the stars blinking silently above. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine and memories she couldn't forget. She traced the outline of the glowing ring Julian had given her, feeling its weight both in her hand and in her heart. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Mark. Thinking of you. I'm here when you're ready. The simple words struck her with the depth of his patience and love, but also the bittersweet reality of waiting. She typed back slowly, "Thank you. I'm trying to find my way." The days blurred as Amelia tried to balance her feelings, her past, and the life she was determined to rebuild. Julian's visits became more frequent but never overwhelming. He didn't push. He simply showed up, a quiet reminder of the love she thought was lost. Sometimes they talked for hours. Other times, they sat in silence, letting the space between them speak volumes. Mark, too, stayed close. Texts, calls, small gestures that said, "I'm here." He didn't demand answers or rush her heart. Instead, he offered a steady presence, like the lighthouse guiding a ship through rough seas. One afternoon, Amelia sat with Mark at their favorite cafe. The sun streamed through the windows, casting warm light on their hands intertwined across the table. "I don't want to lose you," Mark whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Amelia looked into his eyes, tears threatening to fall. "I don't want to hurt you," she replied, "but I need to be honest with you, and with myself." Mark nodded, squeezing her hand. "Honesty is the only thing I want." Later that night, Amelia sat alone, her thoughts heavy. Julian's words echoed in her mind. I want to create new memories, with honesty, respect, and love. She realized that honesty had become her compass, guiding her through the uncertainty. Days later, Julian surprised her with a simple picnic in the park, the place where their story had begun. They sat on a blanket beneath the oak tree, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet moments. Julian's eyes held no pressure, only hope. "Amelia," he said softly, "I'm not asking for promises. Just for a chance to be part of your life, whatever that looks like." Her heart fluttered. "I want to believe in us again, but it has to be real. No illusions." Julian nodded. "Real is all I can offer." Amelia felt a calm settle within her, a fragile peace born from the courage to face the truth. But that peace was tested one rainy evening when Mark called, his voice trembling. "I'm coming to see you. I can't stay away anymore." Her heart raced as Mark arrived, soaked from the storm. They sat by the fire, the flames flickering shadows on the walls. "Amelia," he said, voice raw. I love you. I've loved you through everything. I'm ready to fight for us. Tears spilled down Amelia's cheeks as she reached for his hand. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm grateful for your love and your patience. Mark pulled her close. Whatever happens, we face it together. In that moment, Amelia understood that love was not about choosing the perfect path. It was about embracing the journey, with all its pain, hope, and uncertainty. Her story wasn't just about two men or a glowing ring. It was about finding the strength to open her heart again, to forgive, and to believe in the possibility of happiness, even when the road was unclear. And with that, Amelia took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next, knowing she was no longer alone. Amelia stood before the mirror, the soft glow of the evening sun casting a golden light over her face. Today wasn't about weddings or promises. It was about clarity. For months, her heart had been a battlefield, torn between the past she once cherished and the future she was slowly beginning to believe in. Now, the time had come to make peace with both. Her phone buzzed quietly on the dresser. A message from Julian, asterisk, no matter what, you've always been the light in my life. Asterisk, she smiled softly, feeling warmth, but also a steady calm she hadn't known for weeks. Mark's message arrived shortly after. Asterisk, I'm proud of your courage, Amelia. Whatever you choose, I'm here. Asterisk, those words settled her nerves, reminding her of the quiet strength that had carried her through the darkest times. She reached out and picked up the glowing diamond ring Julian had given her, the symbol of second chances, of love that refused to fade. But it no longer felt like a weight or a question. It was a reminder of hope, yes, but also of the courage to let go if needed. The day ahead was heavy with possibility, but Amelia felt ready. She had spent sleepless nights and quiet afternoons peeling back the layers of fear and doubt, learning to listen to her own heart above all else. She called Julian first. When his voice answered, tentative but hopeful, she spoke clearly. Julian, I've thought long and hard. You were right, love is messy, complicated. But it's also real, and it's worth fighting for. I want to take the chance to rebuild, slowly, with honesty. There was a pause, then a breath of relief in his voice. Amelia, I'll wait as long as it takes. I promise to be patient. Later, she reached out to Mark. Her heart tightened as she spoke. Mark, your love means everything to me. You've been my rock, and I'm so grateful. But my heart needs time to heal before I can be sure of the path ahead. Mark's reply was steady and kind. I understand, Amelia. I want your happiness, even if it's not with me. I'll be here always. The days that followed were filled with small steps, walks with Julian, long conversations, quiet moments of reflection. Amelia discovered that healing wasn't about rushing or forcing choices. It was about honesty, patience, and embracing vulnerability. Mark remained a steady presence, offering friendship and support without expectation. His kindness reminded her that love could take many forms, and that sometimes letting go was an act of love in itself. One evening, as autumn leaves danced outside her window, Amelia stood once again beneath the oak tree where it all began. Julian took her hand gently, a promise in his eyes. No matter where this journey takes us, I'm grateful for this chance. Amelia squeezed his hand, feeling a quiet joy she hadn't known in years. Me too. Her heart was no longer divided. It was whole, ready to face whatever the future held. With courage and hope, she stepped forward, knowing that love was not a destination, but a journey. And in that journey, Amelia found herself.